Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael, and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a user named Vegetable Ring in the AITA subreddit. The post is titled, "I dropped our baby off on my ex-husband and demanded he take the baby every other week, which is what he wants to be in the first place. This is so messy. My ex-husband and I originally agreed not to have any children. We live in Texas, and this world just isn't a place I wanted to bring a child into. I also never wanted to be a mother. My IUD failed and I got pregnant. I was devastated because I wouldn't be able to get an abortion since we live in Texas. I wanted to travel out of state to get an abortion, and I wanted him to get a vasectomy since I didn't want to risk this happening again. He refused both. He said he wouldn't take me out of state to get an abortion, and he made me very scared of criminal charges. He also refused a vasectomy to prevent more children since he didn't want to mutilate himself. Long story short, I filed for divorce a month after the baby was born. It took a little over 2 months for the divorce to be finalized, which was a month ago. Baby is now 4 months old, and the maternity leave that I was lucky enough to have is up. Ex-husband has moved into his own apartment. I live alone in my home that I owned prior to marriage that I inherited from my grandparents. Ex-husband has been visiting the baby here and there on weekends, but hasn't had the baby overnight ever. I've suggested it, but he refused. To be honest, I don't really like being a mother. The baby and I just haven't bonded much. I've heard that sometimes it takes a while. I've been overwhelmed and I needed a break. I tried calling him and talking to him about agreeing to a custody situation. He blew me off and said he'll let me know when he finds a weekend that works for him. I was really pissed. I had this baby because of him largely, or I would have gotten an abortion. I love my baby, but I don't want to be a full-time mom. I want 50-50. I work from home as a software developer. I'm lucky enough to be able to watch the baby while I work, so I don't have to pay for daycare, but I need time to be productive with my work. So I figure 1 week I can be unproductive while watching my child, and the next week I can work extra hard to make up for it. My job is flexible, so it'll work for me. My ex was dodging my calls, so I took our son and a diaper bag and showed up at my ex's work. He works as a car salesman. He was shocked to see me, and even more shocked when I handed him the baby. I told him, "We're doing 50-50 custody. You have the baby this week. You can drop him off at my house next Monday." He freaked out, said, "Who will watch the baby while he works?" I suggested he pay for daycare if he needs it. He said he can't afford daycare. We argued, and I told him to figure it out. If I have to figure out how to be a mom, he has to figure out how to be a dad. His parents are calling me every name under the damn sun. Meanwhile, they don't want to babysit for him. Am I the asshole? Edit. For all of you suggesting adoption, I tried that while I was pregnant. Ex refused. I couldn't give the baby up for adoption without his permission. Also, I've contacted a lawyer about getting custody formalized, but I haven't heard back. Update. Less than a day after my last post, I attempted suicide. I took every hidden pain pill I had left over from surgeries, etc., and just went to sleep. If it weren't for my cousin coming to check on how I was doing without the baby, I wouldn't be here today. I spent 16 days in inpatient psychiatry and was diagnosed with postpartum depression and postpartum psychosis. After my Reddit post, I was flooded with comments and direct messages telling me what a monster I am for having a child that I didn't originally want. People said that my child would be better off without me, that my ex-husband and I are just going to ruin our child's life. Adoption was something pushed because, to most commenters, there was no way I could ever manage to be a good mother. I had considered adoption at one point, but the time for that had passed. Many people latched onto that as a sign that I shouldn't have my child. The worst part was the direct messages. A lot of people outright told me to just kill myself so my child doesn't have to deal with me anymore. Many men said women are just whores who don't want to deal with the consequences of sex. Many tried to pressure me into giving them my child. Couples with infertility issues told me that it's not fair that I had a child I didn't want while they're struggling, and that my child would be better off with them. There was even one where she started off friendly and helpful, and we chatted for hours, just to turn and call me every name in the book when I said I'm not giving her my child. It was all too much. I already felt terrible for just needing a break and some time to myself. It had been a long time since I'd so much as showered alone. In Inpatient, I met a very kind nurse who told me she struggled with the same things after having her child, and it took a long time to bond. But eventually, everything clicked into place. I'll never forget her. Since getting out, my ex and his family have been quiet and somewhat apologetic. He has agreed to split custody. My ex asked me to pay a small amount towards daycare for his custody time, with his parents also chipping in, and I agreed. He's had the baby since I've been out, as I've been adjusting to some medication changes that have been making me feel like I'm in the twilight zone. But he drops the baby off for a few hours at a time, and my cousin is mostly here to help me. Things have been okay and they're getting better. I've been remorseful, and the thought of my child growing up without a mother potentially made me sad. I'm in therapy and I'm trying to do whatever I can to be a better mother. I just needed help. So yeah. My advice to anyone out there who is struggling, go to counseling. Find some kind of group therapy to attend. Reach out to your family, get psychiatric help if you need it. There are a lot of bad people out there, and the internet is not your friend. I'm glad I'm still here. Other women haven't been as lucky, and there have even been some who have taken their babies with them. If it were up to some people who messaged me, I'd be dead right now. Update. Less than a day after my last post, I attempted suicide. I took every hidden pain pill I had left over from surgeries, etc., and just went to sleep. If it weren't for my cousin coming to check on how I was doing without the baby, I wouldn't be here today. I spent 16 days in inpatient psychiatry and was diagnosed with postpartum depression and postpartum psychosis. After my Reddit post, I was flooded with comments and direct messages telling me what a monster I am for having a child that I didn't originally want. People said that my child would be better off without me, that my ex-husband and I are just going to ruin our child's life. Adoption was something pushed because, to most commenters, there was no way I could ever manage to be a good mother. I had considered adoption at one point, but the time for that had passed. Many people latched onto that as a sign that I shouldn't have my child. The worst part was the direct messages. A lot of people outright told me to just kill myself so my child doesn't have to deal with me anymore. Many men said women are just whores who don't want to deal with the consequences of sex. Many tried to pressure me into giving them my child. Couples with infertility issues told me that it's not fair that I had a child I didn't want while they're struggling, and that my child would be better off with them. There was even one where she started off friendly and helpful, and we chatted for hours, just to turn and call me every name in the book when I said I'm not giving her my child. It was all too much. I already felt terrible for just needing a break and some time to myself. It had been a long time since I'd so much as showered alone. In Inpatient, I met a very kind nurse who told me she struggled with the same things after having her child, and it took a long time to bond. But eventually, everything clicked into place. I'll never forget her. Since getting out, my ex and his family have been quiet and somewhat apologetic. He has agreed to split custody. My ex asked me to pay a small amount towards daycare for his custody time, with his parents also chipping in, and I agreed. He's had the baby since I've been out, as I've been adjusting to some medication changes that have been making me feel like I'm in the twilight zone. But he drops the baby off for a few hours at a time, and my cousin is mostly here to help me. Things have been okay and they're getting better. I've been remorseful, and the thought of my child growing up without a mother potentially made me sad. I'm in therapy and I'm trying to do whatever I can to be a better mother. I just needed help. So yeah. My advice to anyone out there who is struggling, go to counseling. Find some kind of group therapy to attend. Reach out to your family, get psychiatric help if you need it. There are a lot of bad people out there, and the internet is not your friend. I'm glad I'm still here. Other women haven't been as lucky, and there have even been some who have taken their babies with them. If it were up to some people who messaged me, I'd be dead right now. Turbulent Section said, forced motherhood destroys a multitude of lives. To this, Mose said, the number of times I read on here about some man who opposes abortion, forces the mother to have the baby, and then wants nothing to do with actually raising it is astounding, but sadly not surprising. Puzzle-Headed Tap said, damn, poor OP, I remember her original post. I had no idea what happened to her afterward or how horrible people were to her in her direct messages. I'm glad she survived and got help. I'm also glad her ex and his family are stepping up. Thanks for the update. This next post was made in the same subreddit by a user named OKCarrot. The post is titled, "I told my lesbian ex-wife that her partner cannot be my son's mom. Hi all, throw away because my friends are not completely aware of this current situation. I was married to my ex-wife for 7 years. 2 years ago, my ex-wife came out as a lesbian. This came as a complete shock to me. She and her partner were co-workers who had been having an affair since she joined the company a year before our divorce. We have a son together. I was heartbroken and devastated. I felt betrayed as I had spent 7 years of my life with this woman, and it all felt like a lie now. When I confronted her, she told me that she had to live her truth, and that she tried to suppress her identity because she didn't come to terms with it until she met her partner. When I asked whether she loved me, she told me that while she loves me, it's different than how she loves her new partner. This broke my heart even further. The divorce was quick as she did not want anything from me, and we agreed to a 50-50 split of custody. I decided to go no contact with her and handled the custody transfer process through my sister, whom I moved in with after the divorce. I sold the house and we mutually agreed that the excess money from the sale would go into a college fund for our son in the future. I could not bear to stay in that house anymore as it kept reminding me of her betrayal. For context, she introduced her partner as her work friend, and I believed her. I had no reason to suspect anything, and they had several girls' nights, but I figured that they were probably using these as cover for the affair. For 6 months, I was in a depressive state because I didn't know where I went wrong, but this is one of those scenarios where nothing I could have done would have made it better. This made me even more depressed, and the fact that all the vows and little things she said at our wedding were all just lies to keep up a ruse made it even worse. The two people who got me through this were my sister, whom I am eternally grateful to for helping with her nephew and supporting me while maintaining her career, and my college ex-girlfriend. Around 4 months after the divorce, we reconnected at a reunion, and she really helped me through the worst of it as a friend. Around a year after the divorce, we started officially dating and I introduced her to my son. During all this time, my ex's partner had limited interactions with my son. This was not because of anything I said, but because my ex-wife wanted him to adjust to his new reality. My son is at that weird age where he understands what's going on, but he doesn't really understand what's actually happening. He understands that mommy has a girlfriend and that his mom and I are not together anymore. I'm pretty happy considering we didn't really talk to him about LGBTQ issues since we decided we could discuss it when he's a bit older. I'm happy that he's come to terms with the divorce. Around 8 months ago, my ex said that she was officially moving in with her partner and that she was engaged. At this point, I was still on no contact except for brief conversations concerning our son. She invited me to the wedding, but I declined. They were planning to have a destination wedding in Spain where her girlfriend lives. She wanted to take our son to the wedding and he would have to miss school for a week since she wanted him to meet her girlfriend's family as well. I told her that missing school for a week did not make sense and that she should plan her wedding when he has vacation, since she didn't have a fixed date yet. She argued that most likely they wouldn't have a date that would align with his vacations and that they were getting married as soon as possible. I relented and agreed since I didn't want to interact with her anymore and it was well within her rights to have her son at her wedding. The problem started when my son came back after the wedding. He was supposed to stay with me since we have a flexible week-on, week-off custody arrangement. She wanted to take my son on her honeymoon so that he would have a chance to bond with his new stepmother. I told her that she had already had 2 weeks with him since she had custody for a week before the wedding, and that I wanted to spend some father-son time with him. I told her that it was well within my rights and that she should go spend some time with her new wife. She argued that since our son's interactions with her partner were limited because of her busy schedule, this was a great opportunity for them to bond. I told her that she had 2 weeks for him to get to know her partner. She said that they were busy with the wedding and did not have time. I told her that the custody arrangement was there for a reason and that was one thing I would not negotiate on. She got angry and left. My son and I had a great experience. I even got him one of those kid-sized motorcycles since he liked them so much. Over the next few weeks, we returned to our week-on, week-off routine. One day, I found that my ex posted a photo shoot of them and my son under the caption #lesbian mommies. I thought it was just a post and probably meant nothing, but it was showing them as a family, and something about that did not sit right with me. When I got my son for the week, I asked him if his mom was saying anything to him. He hesitated a bit, but told me that his mother had been trying to convince him to call her partner his mom. This was a shock to me, as I never expected my ex to do this. Then again, I've been wrong about these things before. I asked him if that's something he wanted, and he told me that he is much more comfortable calling her by her first name and that he feels weird calling two people mom. I told him it's okay and that he shouldn't feel pressured to do anything. I called my ex and asked her to meet up because this was serious and I wanted to discuss it. I confronted her about this, and she told me that since she and her partner were married, it's only natural for our son to have two moms now. I told her that it's not okay for her to try and convince him to call her partner his mom because she is not his mother. She doesn't have an active parenting role in his life, and any major parenting decisions require the two of us. She tried making an argument that since my girlfriend and I were becoming serious, I might eventually want him to start calling her mom. I told her even if we become serious, I won't try to convince our son to call her mom, because he already has two parents and doesn't need more. Then she dropped the bombshell on me. She told me that she and her partner were hoping that eventually, down the line, they could file for adoption. I would still be able to visit and see my son, but she wanted her and her wife to have legal guardianship because they wanted to build a new family with him. I told her absolutely not, and that our partners have no say in our kids' lives. She accused me of being homophobic for denying her the right to a complete family, and I told her that while her life is her choice, our son's life is something we decide together. I ended the conversation there and told my son to tell me if his mother tries to force him to do anything he doesn't want to do. 3 weeks later, I found out that my ex had enrolled him in Spanish lessons, which he told me he hated. For context, my ex is Latin and her partner is Spanish, so they are more comfortable talking to each other in Spanish. We decided to raise our son in English because it made sense at the time, as she speaks English better than Spanish and I don't speak any Spanish. When I discussed this, she told me that she would like her son to connect more to his heritage. I said that I don't have any problem with that, but we tried this several times before when we were married and he had shown zero interest. She told me that this time might be different since he will have two Spanish speakers at home. I told her that I am all in favor of bilingualism because two languages are always an advantage, especially for kids. But if he doesn't want to do it, there is no reason to force him. Maybe try another language. She then accused me of denying our son his roots and went on a tirade, accusing me of denying our son his identity and again bringing up me denying her right to a family. My girlfriend usually stays out of these matters, but she advised me to contact my lawyer and see what they can actually do. My lawyer told me that even if they send an adoption notice, I can contest it, and it would take something exceptional like abandonment for my contest to get rejected. My ex keeps posting our son as a part of her new family, and it's honestly started to trigger me. 2 weeks ago, I interacted for the first time with my ex's new wife after the divorce. She contacted me and asked to meet up. She told me that my ex had finally started to recover from the social trauma of coming out and building a new life with her, and that I am now getting in the way of their happiness. She accused me of being emotionless and uncaring through our divorce and said I guilt-tripped her into agreeing to my demands of 50-50 custody and that I should just agree to the eventual adoption in a few years because she has always wanted a son and that I would still remain my son's dad and could still visit him. I told her that I don't care what her emotional state was during the divorce and that my demands were fair, even to the most irrational person. I told her that if they want to create this image of a perfect family, then they should have another kid that has no connection to me. I feel like all this has started to affect my son more than anything. He is a lot less happy than he was just a few months ago, as we had started to adjust to this new reality. For context, since I know this is going to come up eventually, the emotional trauma of my ex coming out is basically the fact that her family effectively disowned her after coming out. Her parents don't talk to her anymore, while my son has plenty of interactions with his maternal grandparents when he's with me. Those two combined make significantly more money than I do alone. However, my ex-wife makes less money than I do, but her partner is in a senior position, so she has more stability. This is also an argument my ex-wife used when we discussed adoption, since they could then send our son to a private school and generally give him a better life. I don't know if this is a factor, but the recent elections may have caused this because they are worried that they might not be able to adopt soon, but they don't want to adopt my son now, only in a few years. So I doubt this is the real reason. Update. It's been crazy seeing everyone's reactions to the situation, and I wanted to share a quick update with you all. First of all, I'd like to clarify that my son and I have been going to therapy since the divorce. He was doing quite well until the whole mom saga happened. My in-laws disowned her after she came out. They were not even aware about the affair when she came out to them. They still spend time with my grandson under the condition that they don't badmouth my ex and don't preach their views to him. They agreed and said that they valued a relationship with their grandson over any political view they might hold. I have been a part of every interaction that they have had with him because I was worried they might say something. Thankfully, this has not been the case. Her extended family has said to me that they have all cut her off as well. Some for the affair and some for her being gay. Our mutual friends also cut her off because of the affair. All our mutual friends were my work buddies and their spouses and partners. I did not ask them to do anything. They came to the decision on their own. I was actually glad when she told me that she had made a friend on her own, as she used to complain about not liking her colleagues. We all know how that turned out. I'm pretty sure they're not planning to skip the country. I have all my son's documents, and we decided this during the divorce because she was still figuring out where to go, and since I was moving in with my sister, the chances of them getting misplaced were low. I also have had no demands for any documents, and she returned the passport to me when we came back. The whole adoption thing probably stems from the fact that my son has a very close relationship with his mother. The only times he has really complained to me are when she asked him to call her partner mom, and that she was making him do Spanish classes that he did not want. We did everything for him equally during our marriage, but I had to travel out of state to my parents frequently during COVID because they were sick with pre-existing conditions and couldn't take care of themselves. My sister was on an assignment abroad at that time. My sister also agreed with this. Please let me know your thoughts. I listened to people and contacted my lawyer this morning. He told me the same thing as last time and that it would take something really unusual for the adoption process to go through, like child abandonment. He also said that they are a bunch of idiots who have no idea how the law works. He also told me that if the whole "we want to adopt him" is a real thing, and if she is talking badly about me to my son and I could prove it, I could get custody. This has not been the case, as I've not heard my son say that his mom says bad things about me. This brought me a sigh of relief. I plan to contact my ex today with the following conditions. We both install parenting apps and document all interactions. No more mentions to me or my son regarding adoption or calling her partner mom. No more posting images of my son as a part of their perfect queer family, because frankly, I don't want my son's photos on the internet when he is so young, and he can decide what he wants when he is older. I plan to talk to my ex in a couple of hours. Please let me know what you think about this. Update 2. So I talked to my ex today. She was busy yesterday and I wanted some more time to gather my thoughts. When we met, I put forth my demands. She told me that the parenting app idea seems fine and that she has no problem with it. She got sad when I told her to drop the idea of adoption and calling her partner mom, as it's just not gonna happen. She told me that her family was pressuring her to settle down, and getting pregnant so soon after getting married was not what she had in mind. She told me that she was in the closet all her life because of her parents and that she thought marrying me would cause her feelings to subside and that she was happy until she met her partner. She did go through postpartum depression after giving birth, but I did not know that she didn't want to get pregnant so soon. She then told me that they wanted to adopt my son because she wanted to start new. She said that she was never really happy during our marriage and that with her new wife, she could have the family she always dreamt of having. She didn't want my son to grow up resenting her for being a lesbian, as he doesn't have any exposure to people like her apart from her and her partner. Look, I have to be honest here. I don't know any gay people, nor does anyone in my friends or family identify as gay. We never talked about these things because it simply doesn't come up in our daily life, but that doesn't mean my son and I have no idea who they are, especially after the divorce. I told her that this is not going to happen and that he has had a lot of exposure to people from her community. I told her that this seems like a bullshit reason for separating my son and me and that she is making up some random reason to make it seem like it is. After some arguing, she told me the real reason why she and her partner want to adopt my son. Apparently, they want to adopt my son because her wife and she are considering moving to Spain in a few years. I told her that she can't do that and that the legal framework supports me and my rights in both countries. She told me she knew this and that's why they wanted to get me to sign adoption papers. I told her that she was crazy and that she in no way is able to do this as she still needs my permission to take him out of the country as when she did when they got married in Spain. I also read a comment yesterday on the update and researched a bit on the laws regarding this, so I know this is not happening. She told me again that they have done their research and that this was to see if I would agree. In case I agreed, they would consider moving. In case I don't, they won't because she doesn't want to be separated from my son. I again emphasized that this is not going to happen and that if she tries anything or says anything to my son, I will sue for full custody. She got sad again and told me that they wanted to check with me first. I told her, in what world would you expect me to give you and your wife full custody? First, you divorce me, leave me for a woman, and then expect me to sign over my child and act like nothing happened. I told her from this point on, we will document everything, every interaction we have, and that if I even get a whiff of you trying to pull something, I will sue for full custody. She got a bit scared at the idea of losing full custody. I guess she didn't really consider me doing that, and she agreed. I then told her not to paint this picture of a picture-perfect queer family that they are trying to create because that is not going to happen. Our son has a mom and a dad that he spends half his time with each, not two moms. He is not your affair partner's son. He is your son and mine. If you want a child with her, you can do so on your own. I then told her that the courts are more likely to side with me than with you in this case because of the things you have been trying to do and the fact that I work from home and spend more actual time with him than you and your wife. I have been trying for him to have a stable relationship with both parents since the divorce because I don't want him to resent either of us. But if you try to remove me from his life, I will sue for full custody and deal with any resentment he has for either of us. I didn't want to argue anymore and I left the room. I secretly recorded the conversation because I wanted to have proof in case anything happens in the future. Honestly, Reddit, I have been very angry at my ex since the divorce. I have not shown it around her and my son because I don't want her to use this against me in any way and have been going to therapy. But I am still internally angry. The comment she made today about our marriage really hurt me even more. I have spent 7 years with this woman and her betrayal still makes me angry to this day. When I got home, I contacted my lawyer friend and he again reiterated that they would have to kidnap him. I asked him if there was anything else we could do and he said that the current agreement is very thorough. We have made sure of that. If I want full custody or not is up to me, but I have to be sure that I want to put me or my son through the whole process. I don't want my son to grow up without either of his parents as that is just not healthy for him. That is why I won't sue for full custody now. If they are stupid enough to kidnap him, I'm sure they are not. Then the law sides with me anyway. I know what position her partner is at their workplace, so I know they are making good money to leave it all behind for no good reason. As for the passport thing, I have all his documents, and all things such as notifying travel, hospital visits, and others are already in the signed custody agreement. We already have a legal framework for all this. I am not going to sue for full custody now because I don't want that for my son. My ex-wife is still a good mother and loves him, and he enjoys spending time with her. Plus, my son is the type of person to openly voice what he doesn't find okay to me, so I will know if they continue any of their nonsense. On a more positive note, I'm not against Spanish lessons, but he doesn't like them. I was just suggesting that he try some language he likes. There are other languages out there. I didn't say it to my ex then, but now I know that she was trying for him to learn Spanish because of the Spain thing. Thank you to everyone for their support. It really helped me understand the problem. Holy shit though, I didn't even consider her considering moving to Spain until I read the comments. You all are great at this. Hinata Yvonne said, the mom is actually delusional. To this Static Saber said, I get the feeling from OP's talk with the affair partner that she has been the one poisoning the well. I wouldn't be surprised if many of these delusional ideas started from the partner's insistence or pushing. Kirsch said, "My husband is a family lawyer. I read this out to him. He rolled his eyes and said OP's lawyer is completely wrong to be so relaxed. According to him, at the first mention of adoption, they should have gone back to court. The parental alienation which the ex is already engaging in is a very real risk, and it is apparently a lot easier for parents to get a passport for their child than people think. OP is being very reckless with his son's safety, especially now that the mother has admitted her plans to take him abroad. Now she knows they can't do it legally, they'll look into it illegally. And just because the Spanish laws would technically agree with OP doesn't mean they're going to do a single thing to reunite a kidnapped child with their parent." Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video, and thank you also to partner of the channel, GamerSupps. Use code DLAM to support the channel and get 10% off of your purchase, link in the description. I'm sure many of you like me have a hankering for daily caffeine, so go check them out. Lately, I've been a big fan of Titty Milk and Acid Rain, but they've got dozens of other flavors for y'all to try out. Anyway, thanks again for reaching the end, and I hope you all have an amazing passage of the next 24 hours.